Hello.
My name is Lawrence too.
That's a good name.
My name is Pascal.
Hello, Pascal.
Hello.
If I, first of all, if you could spell your names for me, Lawrence.
L A U R E N Z.
And your family name?
M A R T O N.
And Pascal?
P A S C A L and B I E D E R.
Okay, great. Pascal, whereabouts do you live?
I live in Dreisen. That's a little village in Lower Austria. And it's, yeah, you can say it's in the mountains.
Okay.
Yeah.
And thinking about your village, if you could change one thing about the village, what would you change?
I would change the fact that we don't have a lot of spare time, a lot of opportunities to spend our spare time.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a football court and we have a place for skaters, but yeah, we don't have any other things to do.
Right.
So there should be more of that.
Okay, super, thank you. And where do you live?
I live in Kirkberg on the Pila. It's also a very small village with about 3,000 inhabitants, and it's about 15 kilometers from Dreisen.
Okay.
So I live quite near him.
Okay.
And yes, there are lots of mountains, about 1,000 meters high, and the landscape is just beautiful, and the air is always very fresh because there are many trees, and because there are not so many inhabitants, there's not that much pollution.
That's good. That's good. And what's the best thing about living in your village? What do you really
Yes, it's that there is a big school, and so you needn't worry in it because it's the best school in the valley. And there is also a open air swimming pool, which is open in summer, of course, and there you can spend your spare time very frequently.
Super. And do you have any plans for next weekend?
Next weekend, not really. Perhaps I'm going out on Saturday with my friends, but that's quite unlikely to happen because I have to learn to study a lot for my exams for the car, and so I haven't studied yet because I have the exam only about in, I don't know, in 3 weeks I think, but I have to start now because there are about 1,500 questions.
Wow.
I have to learn all.
That's a lot of questions. Okay, thank you. And I was going to ask Pascal, what type of music do you like?
I listen to all kinds of music. That starts at jazz and finishes at very hard metal. So and everything in between. So I'm a real music lover, and I also play guitar, an electric guitar, also a little bit of bass and a little bit of drums. So
how did you get into music?
I think this all started when I was 10 years old, I think, and then I started discovering those classic rock bands like AC/DC and Deep Purple, and they really inspired me, their riffs and also some of the lyrics. And yeah, I found it to be very powerful and energetic. So.
Okay, good. Thinking about TV, how much TV do you watch a week?
I can't count a week. I think per day it's about 1.5 hours.
Okay.
So, and I usually don't watch. I usually don't zap around. I know when my shows are on. So I watch my shows and then I switch off the TV.
And do you think you should watch more or less, or are you happy with your hour and a half?
I think I'm happy. Maybe I should watch a little more documentations, but I think that's okay.
Okay, super. And do you buy any magazines or newspapers or anything like that?
Yes, I read many newspapers about economics, or especially about sports.
Okay.
Because I like sports very much, and I always want to be informed about everything in politics or sports.
do you have a special sports newspaper or magazine?
Yes, it's an Austrian newspaper. It's called Sports Week.
Okay.
It is said to be the best newspaper with a focus on sports in the German room. So, and there are all the details you need, and so you can read one newspaper about 3 hours.
Wow. Okay. Good. Thank you. So in this part of the test, I'm going to give you some photographs. I'd like you to talk about your photographs on your own for about 1 minute, excuse me, and also to answer a short question about your partner's photograph. So, first of all, Pascal, I'd like you to compare these photographs and say why you think the people are enjoying eating in these places.
So in the first picture, you can see a restaurant, or you can see a lot of people sitting at tables in a big room, it seems. Yeah, they might be celebrating someone's birthday or maybe a wedding. Yeah, and in the second picture, you can see 2 people sitting at a small table on the beach. They might be on holiday, and those people, as the people in the first picture, they could be enjoying this because of the atmosphere and it seems to be very noble. And in the second picture, it could be the fresh air and also the atmosphere of a place like this, because it seems to be very nice.
Okay, thank you. Of these 2, which one would you prefer to eat at?
I would prefer in this picture because it's near the sea, so the air is very good because it's fresh and it's also very healthy, I've heard, because that's always the case in Brighton.
Yes.
And so everything, the location is just beautiful.
Okay, thank you. Now, here are your photographs. They show people looking at different kinds of map. I'd like you to compare the photographs and say why you think the people are looking at the maps.
In the first photograph you can see very small and young children. I think they're about 4 years old. And they're looking at the globe of the Earth, and I think they consider it as a toy. They don't really know what it is about, what it really is. And in the second picture you can see people watching a map to see where they are. They are probably on holiday, and so they are lost. Maybe they're lost, and so now they have to find a way out. And so that's why, and that's quite interesting for these people, the globe, because they see it as a toy. And in the lower picture, it is not a toy, but it is something very useful that they really need.
Yes. Good.
So,
thinking about these photos, do you like learning about different places?
Yes, I really enjoy it because I think you can never see enough of the world. So you should always educate yourself at this point.
So I'd like you to talk about something together for about 3 minutes. I'd like you to imagine that a new nursery school for children under 5 is opening in your area. Here are some of the things the children could do. First, talk to each other about what children could learn from these different things. Then decide which 2 would be the most important.
let's start with this picture. You can see some very young children. I think that with a toy baby, because it's not real, I think. And it's not that important at that age that they care about babies, because they're not able to care about them, I think. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think it can never be bad if they have a younger sister or a younger brother, if they can look after him or her. So I don't think it's a bad thing if they can. but you're right. They cannot, they can at a certain age, but they seem to be very young.
And in this picture, there are some girls. They're only girls, I think, and they're cutting bushes, very small bushes. I don't think that this is very useful for children at that age.
I think so too. Yeah. I give you that.
So let's move to another. Especially this is working on a computer. Is very important for young children as well.
Yeah,
I think so too.
that's right. Because we live in such modern times, and it gets more and more important to know how to use a computer. And yeah,
And just right here we can see a policeman with some children explaining them something about traffic, I think. And so this can never be bad. Even if the children are not allowed to go to school without their parents at that age.
yeah, that's of huge importance, I think, because living in it's very dangerous even to cross the street, I think. So first thing they learn is probably where to look first before they cross the street. Yeah.
Okay. And which two do you think would be the most important? Looking at the others as well.
In my opinion, this with the traffic, and also think with the baby, not with the computer. This is much better, but this is totally useless. I think. I think so too.
Yeah, I totally agree with him because those two are the things everyone has to learn when they grow up.
Okay, thank you. So, finally, I wanted to ask, do you think it's a good idea for children to go to nursery school?
Yeah, especially for the parents.
Right.
Yeah. If you see it from that point of view, it's very so that the parents are very relieved because they have much less work with the children, so they can do more work themselves. What do you think?
That's absolutely true. But I think the parents should also spend a certain amount of time together with their children, and not just.
I agree, but they also spend the time in the evening with them. So
That's also true. Yeah.
Do you remember your own nursery school? Do you have good memories about what you did?
I can remember that once I was lost on the toilet. I locked myself in, and at that age I didn't even know how to log out again, and so I had to lay on the ground and then move forward
And crawl that.
and crawl, yes, and under the door.
Wow.
And so and nowadays I even don't know if this door is still closed.
No.
That's funny because that happened to me too, but I just cried for help. And
Okay.
I was so ashamed that I didn't want to tell anyone.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much. That's the end of the test. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.